What's up, everybody? This is Boveda JP with Boveda in for a live Box Press Live. Of course, that's the name. Super stoked today. It is the end of Boveda Cigar Club week, and I am being joined right now with Sam Leccia of Stogiebird. I am super excited to be ending the week with you, Sam. Say hello.
Oh,
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm really good. How are you, man?
I'm great, dude. I'm super stoked to be with you today. This is my first time being with Box Press Live. I'm super excited to be here. I'm obviously excited to have you. It's going to be awesome talking to you today. How has your week been so far?
It's been hectic. It's our shipping week, so we're getting all our orders together to get them out. We're actually a little late. We normally get them out on the 15th, but man, there's always something with shipping or customs that holds things up. So we are just a couple days behind.
Cool, man. Cool. So let's just hop into it, man. You have had an awesome, long, winding road in the cigar industry, over 20 years, right?
Winding and ups and downs. Yeah, it's been all around. Yeah, for sure. It's been it's been almost. I think it's been over 20 years.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So kind of take me down memory lane. I'd love to just kind of start at the beginning and basically get to a point that gets you to, I guess, the inception of Stogiebird and kind of what drove you to kind of want to start it.
Wow. Where do you want me to even begin?
And wherever you want to begin, man.
You know, I was in the liquor business for a while. I worked for Jack Daniels. I ran San Diego to Sacramento out in California, which was a great gig. But I smoked cigars, since high school. People always ask me how I got into smoking cigars, and I really think it's Michael Jordan. I was a '90s kid, man, and we have a basketball team here in Pittsburgh, so I was a huge Bull fan, huge Jordan fan. And Jordan was winning all the championships and always had a cigar in his mouth. So me and my buddies, we pitched in and bought a cheap box of like Phillies. We thought we were the cool kids on the block and started smoking cigars. And now, even when I was young, my mom used to I would want to get into the tinderbox in the mall here in Pittsburgh, Century 3 Mall, which it's a wasteland now. But it's empty. It's one of those vacant that people break into and shoot videos of. But anyway, it was an amazing mall. And there was a tinderbox. You smell the tobacco and you walk past, And so I always wanted to go in, and I always wanted to go humidor, but I wasn't old enough. So my mom would, let me in and take me in just so I smell it and be on it. And we did that like all the time. So I was always kind of intrigued and interested in cigars. From a very young age. It's kind of bizarre. My dad didn't smoke cigars. He was a cigarette smoker. Both my parents were cigarette smokers. They'd be hot boxing us in the car when we were kids. That's old school.
All about it.
I hated smelling like cigarettes all the time. But anyway, so I think that's what kind of got my interest into cigars. So I had smoked cigars all the time, and I had a '66 Mustang. It was my primary driver. I couldn't afford like a new car, but I had the coolest used car you could have. It was super clean '66 GT out in California, and I would just smoke cigars, and I'd take Pacific Coast Highway to and from work. I worked in Newport Beach and actually Huntington Beach, and one of the offices was in Newport, and I lived in Laguna, so I would just take one and I'd smoke cigars and look at the ocean like every day. It never got old.
Oh man, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, it was rough. Not a bad commute, but so I was looking to get into cigars just because I was interested in them, and I'm going to pick up. I did a lot of marketing. I've always had like some marketing companies on the side. I was looking to pick up a cigar client just so that I could have kind of access to cigars and kind of get into it. Then that person was Oliva. I had pitched them a program which they kind of ran with, but they wanted me to and I didn't want to quit my job. He offered me a job instead of trying to do a third party thing, which I declined. And about a year later, we were looking to move back east, and I reached out and was looking to get into the industry. And all that was available was a sales job, which was a pretty big pay cut and demotion from what I was doing. But I took it and I started selling. I was a sales rep for Oliva and helped really grow that brand from unknown to world known, I guess.
How cool is that?
And I spent a lot of time at the factory in Nicaragua, and I had rolled cigars kind of on my own. I would take cigars apart. I always just wanted to know what I liked and what I didn't like about a cigar. So I would take the wrapper off of something I knew I liked, and I would put it on something that I didn't like to see if what is it that I don't like. And I was kind of remaking cigars out of cigars. I didn't have raw tobacco, so once I got to learn how to use, play with raw tobacco, I got into doing different things and then, developed the crazy nub concept, which, kind of took the industry by storm back in 2008. That was a blast. It was a very high point in my career here in the industry. And then of course the cane and everything else that followed. But, things didn't end well. I think money and greed and ego gets in the way, and for whatever reason, we separated, and then I was in a legal battle for 2.5 years. So I was kind of disappeared from the industry, which I prevailed. But after 2.5 years of fighting a legal battle in a different state, and with it was costly. So I reemerged with Tarano as a distributor and launched the Leccia tobacco, which was the black, the white, and then eventually the luchador. I actually created the luchador first. That was a cigar I always wanted to do, but I didn't want to launch it because I thought I'd always have to kind of top it with exotic and fun, because the luchador was pretty different for packaging and blend and whatnot. So I didn't want that to be my baseline. So I held on to that one. But in any case, then Tarano, run my crazy life into a short story here. But then, Tarano sold their entire company. So I was kind of, I was out of a distributor and a sales team. And General Cigar was very, very interested in bringing me on board. And that didn't go so well. I actually really had a good time there for the most part. And that are there are some of the finest people I've worked with. There were some people that weren't very happy that I joined the team. I kind of liken my time at General as Howard Stern's time with WNBC. I called my boss Pig Vomit, which was actually Pig Virus if you followed Howard Stern, but in the move Pig Vomit. He knew I called him Pig Vomit. And Michael Giannini was like, he was my Don Imus. That dude hated me, man. He hated me on his turf. He wouldn't even talk to me if I walked past him in a hall, man. They abandoned me at a factory in the Dominican Republic. I mean, it was so childish and silly. They would refuse to even try to work with me or get to know me. Two people. So I had a good relationship with the president at that time. And so we were on a plane to the DR, and I was telling him, look, I don't think I can do this anymore. These guys hate me. You approve all of these deals, and then when we leave office, they're like, this is never going to happen. We're not going to do it. So I said, I think I need to leave. And a lot of people thought I sold my brand, and I never. General owned 0% of Leccia tobacco, which was why it was such a good deal for me. They weren't retaining a percent of my business. So in any case, the president's like, look, there's going to be a lot of big changes. I can't get into it just yet, but just stick around. Trust me, there's some good things on the horizon. Well, I get a phone call. I'm in the big smoke in Vegas. I don't know, November or whatever. And I get a call from Pig Vomit, and he tells me that the president just got fired, and he is now the president, and I just got fired. So that was how that worked out. And then 2 later, they fired him and Giannini. So, and like I said, the people that I talk to the General all the time, they're really good guys. I liked working with them. The factories, they had bought all of when they bought CAO, they bought one of Toronto's factories. So I was familiar with the people that worked there, the at the factory level, the passion and the tobacco and the experience and just the love of cigars was so strong, and it still is. People don't see that. Sometimes the big brands kind of get a bad rap for and maybe that's just the marketing side of it, but like down there, man, it's as true and legit as you could. So I really enjoyed that. I spent a ton of time in Honduras at Hatsa was the factory, but in any case, that didn't work out. So I started just kind of selling stuff direct, which is difficult. And it was a struggle. So I've been up and down. I'd been we did really well with the black, the white, the luchador was selling really strong. It was in I did the country and selling it in the shops. It was doing really well.
Yeah.
But without the distribution and the push, it gets lost in the shuffle. So, it became tough, and I was looking for doing side jobs and just trying to make ends meet. And I got a call from a representative of Cody Rose from now WE.
Mm-hmm.
He was in like Ring of Honor or something then, and then went to Impact, and then started AEW, and now he's back. So I've been with him for like 6 years. But anyway, he was interested in getting a cigar made, and I'm like, geez, how am I going to pull this off? My life has changed so much, and my connections and just everything. But I managed to pull it off. We started the American Rebel cigar for him, and I'm used to selling cases of boxes of cigars, selling 20 boxes to a shop, that kind of thing. And it was low sledding because he was just trying to sell to his customer base. So you take a niche industry like tobacco, cigars, and then you take a niche of wrestling, and then you take the guys that smoke cigars that watch wrestling. It's a very small,
absolutely,
it's a very small niche. So, Cody was like, is there any way we could like sell, 1 or 2 cigars instead of these boxes? Cause they're kind of exclusive, and my fan base just kind of wants a cigar, something, with my name on it.
Yeah.
So I did not want to do that. I mean, you didn't go from selling, millions of dollars product to 2 cigars.
Sure.
But I did, and we started shipping, business started picking up. I'm shipping cigars all over the country, and I'm like, these guys don't even know who I am or who's making this or what, so I'm like, I felt like I had all these customers, but I wasn't able to capitalize off.
Yeah.
So I made a post in my Facebook, if they'd be interested in if I put together a club, would they go for it? And, of course they did. And I launched this thing out of basically, it would have been my garage. My garage had caught fire. I've been known for this garage. My garage is legendary. If anyone that has been there
was it?
knows the details of my garage. It was a 2-car detached garage. Never had a car in it. Well, I had a car and some bikes in there, but it had a real cool floor, ceiling, walls. I had a wood burner, bar. It even had a urinal.
Oh, wow.
So it was my daily office. So that's where I worked from home from. But so that caught fire. So I had, I was doing this out of my kitchen, and really the money from the insurance, instead of doing the garage, I put towards building Stogiebird. Stogy Bird literally was a Hail Mary for me. I was I was struggling. It was tough. A lot of times I was under the impression that it was tough to deal with, because here I'm with Oliva and that didn't work out.
Yep.
I'm with Toronto and that didn't work out. But it's up Toronto. I talked to Toronto, Charlie and Jack and all those guys. They're friends. He just sold his business. That had nothing to do with me. And even the Oliva thing, it was really just me and Jose. We were the ones that didn't get along. And then with General, it was kind of, they didn't want me from the start. So it was tough. It was not a tough thing for me, or not an easy thing for me. And it wasn't like I'm not able to be can't work with me, or, I'm this huge egomaniac. I'm anything but that. But, so So people were under the impression that, maybe this guy, he's tough to deal with or whatever. So it was tough sledding. So, Stogiebird was kind of a Hail Mary, and it was answered. It started picking up right away, and COVID hit, and that destroyed a lot of businesses, but it just lost us.
Sam,
we were.
Did you start Stogiebird?
2019, the year before COVID.
Oh man. Yeah.
And so, so as a growing company, we were growing, rapidly each month. As a growing company, it was hard to gauge what growth and what was COVID growth, too.
Right.
So, we had, taken off, and that's kind of where we are today. And, now I have a retail space here in Pittsburgh as well, because, we have the inventory, I have the space, might as well, come in and buy here. So, that's kind of the short version of how I got here today. It was basically an answered Hail Mary.
So tell me about the club. Obviously, it's one of many awesome cigar clubs out there. I know that you've got plenty of different options for people, not just the subscriptions, but also just obviously sampler packs and things like that at stogiebird.com. Tell us about the actual subscription packs and what the options are for anybody who's curious, who's looking to either subscribe to one right now for the first time ever, or add on an additional one. What do you have out there? And kind of tell me, obviously this is a very cliche question, but like, what is it about Stogiebird that's kind of different? What makes you guys unique? Like, what is it about your, I guess, selection or curating process that makes you so, I guess, exciting and I guess, desirable for someone?
Well, I mean, when I started Stogiebird, I think there was maybe two total cigar clubs out there in the world that that people were going to. So now there's like 100. I first off, I mean, I've been in this a long time. I've had cigars made, at a lot of different factories, and I've got I'm fortunate to have a good reputation and have good relationships with a lot of factories, a lot of brand owners, a lot of people. So I got a lot of help and a lot of I'm just able to kind of, I felt like I was able to get things that, an average person couldn't just, if you were to start a company out of it. I knew who to call. I knew who I could count on to get this thing going. So, with Stogiebird, every month I try to make a pack that has, maybe something that no one has ever heard of.
Yeah.
Be something exclusive that we get made. And then in addition to that, things that you should try, and then staples. There's a great cigar that just happens to be, well known. I mean, I have all walks of life that are members. So there's people that are new to cigar smoking and want to try different things, which is why they join a club. And then I have seasoned guys that have smoked for 20 years that, just like a mixture of what So I try to mix that up so that it kind of hits everybody. You know what I mean? You could be a new seasoned smoker in the middle, and you're going to get a variety of what I believe are, great cigars. I mean, it's always a challenge, but it's a fun challenge to pick, the 8 new selections that go into Stogiebird, which is, we do 8 cigar a month, but you can buy 2 a month, 5 a month, 8 a month. We have a bonus pack, a 12 pack. We've got more options than I guarantee we have more options than any club out there, which is, it's even kind of a headache for how many options we have. And then in addition to those 8 selections, every month we do what's called the brand of the month, or we do 8 selections under one roof. So, if you've never tried, or maybe you've just had one cigar of, let's just say, Roma Craft, well, you get to try all 8, or you get to try 8 different selections. So it's a good way to kind of try an entire brand or a portfolio.
Totally.
And it's a unique. I think that program is one of the most unique programs we have. Is the brand of the month. The random selections is probably the most fun though, because you're going to get a lot of different things. And then of course we've got customers that buy both. I've got a majority, our 8-packs by and large a seller, but a lot of 8-pack buyers also buy the brand of the month, and then they buy like the 12-pack and and the pack, so that's, our core customers buy everything. And I like going, and getting blends made and coming up with different brands or different named cigars. I launched so many cigars since I started, but have launched more, new blends or new brands, so to speak, even if they're, temporary blends, because a lot of times they are, they're for the program. They're not necessarily going to be in shops or down the road everywhere else. So they're kind of, throw brands, if you will, too. They're just very limited, very exclusive. But I've put together more brands and launched more unique blends and cigars in my time with Stogiebird than everything I've done combined. It's been over, I think, 30 or 40. I don't have a list of them or anything. I'm not that organized. But man, we're always coming up with something fun to put into the Stogiebird, and we go with different factories. I always like to try different factories for those programs. So, and then just fighting back with different blends and different ideas and different ways, things to call them and different things to do them. So that's been a lot of fun, is coming up with all of the new brands, and I enjoy that the most, really. I've always been a market guy. It interests me. It's fun for me. So I like that the most. And, we did we just hit Halloween, and every year we ate Halloween selections.
Mm-hmm.
And last year was fun. It was, you had to kind of figure it out, but all of the cigar brands or names were a version of the monologue to Thriller, the Vincent Price monologue.
Yeah.
So, it was like we had the one cigar was, Hounds of Hell, and, Darkness Falls was one, and 40, or what is it? Funk of 40,000 Years. That was one of my favorites. We had one of the cigars was the Funk of 40,000 Years.
That's awesome. I love that.
So that was fun. And then this year I went with a Circus Freak theme, which is something I'm actually working on at my time at General. I was going to launch this Circus Freak, line, because I thought it was fun. There's just, I like that, the old posters, the old circus, A-tiers kind of stuff, the, Houdini type stuff.
Yeah.
And so I had come up with all of this stuff a long time ago. And then, that's, now's a good time to do that. So I kind of went back into it. And I had an in-house, design guy, and he had left and started his own thing. And so, I'm like, geez, I don't know if I want to pay a designer to design 8 brands for me, because normally I will do them like the rough sketch, but I need it cleaned up and, vectorized and all that shit.
Yeah.
So I went to AI for this year's bands, and I do believe that these first AI generated, cigar bands in our industry, which I think is kind of, and that's what we did. I have a couple of these here. They're still in cellophane, but this is the fortune teller. So they weren't all going to be women. I had the first 3 that I designed weren't women at all. But then once I did a couple women, I'm like, man, these women are turning out really cool. So it was like an all-female Circus Freak. So 8 ladies, if you will, 8 ladies Circus Freaks. This is the ringmaster. And so I had, it still takes a lot of time to make this stuff on AI. It's not like you just type it in and it happens. There's a lot of tweaking to do.
That's awesome.
And but this is the sword swallower, and then so I had to do, I did AI with the logos, and then I did AI with the names as well, like with the font. So
That's
those were
great.
two separate things. But in any case, it was fun. It was unique. And that was, and I had Padilla, and I've known him since I've been in. I've known him for like 20 years. So
yeah.
I picked up the phone. I said, Padilla, I want to do some. He was all on board, and so we, that was the lineup.
That's really cool, man. That's awesome. So,
can you give me 1 second though? I have to just pause for a minute. Can you take the helm for a minute?
Absolutely. We'll tread water.
Right.
Don't you worry. Okay, so one really cool thing about Sam and Stogiebird is there's multiple different options. He kind of brought them up. There's a 2-pack, 4-pack, 8-pack, and then there's a brand of the month. I'm fortunate enough to get the SB8 as well as the brand of the month. I'm going to pop one open right now. You guys can take a look at it, see what it's all about. It's really awesome packaging, first and foremost. It's super cool. So slide this thing open. Inside of every pack, every month, there's usually some really cool Stogiebird stickers that come in. And as well as explaining each cigar, what they are, and then explaining what the brand of the month is, which in this case, Stogiebird Halloween, which is what we just talked about a minute ago. In here, got a bunch of different stickers that come in. Coolest thing ever. I love that he does it. And then inside of this pack right here, beautifully packaged. Let me move this over for you. There we go. Eight cigars inside of this, and they're awesome, man. I mean, looking at this one alone, Espinosa La Aurora, you got the Ringmaster in here as well. You got Benavides, Avo, Rocky Patel, Sinistro, and it's awesome. And of course, there's a Boveda pack inside of it as well, keeping it fresh so that when you get it, you got fresh cigars, smoke them right out of the pack, fresh every time. So when I started talking to Sam way back when, and this is just kind of a fun anecdote, I had asked him, hey man, I noticed American Rebel cigars, and I'm a huge pro wrestling fan, massive pro wrestling fan. Always have been since I was a child. I think the first WrestleMania I ever watched was WrestleMania 4, WrestleMania 5. And I've always just been enamored by pro wrestling. I know everybody. I know it's fake. It's basically a soap opera for men, as my wife and I like to call it. But tons and tons of people of all genders and otherwise that love watching pro wrestling. But that's how he and I started talking, and that's how he and I connected. But I'm just a huge pro wrestling fan, and obviously he touched on American Rebel Cigars, which is a brand that he and Cody Rhodes and Frankie Kazarian started, and is still around at this time. And obviously, as you heard, he did open Stogiebird, which is in the Lawrenceville neighborhood, I believe, in Pittsburgh. And that one opened about a year ago. So if you're out in the PA area, definitely make it a point to stop by the brick and mortar out there, Stogiebird. I think Sam's back. Are you back, Sam?
I'm back.
Hey, man. So I was just touching on this a minute ago. I'm a huge pro wrestling geek. You know this about me, and we've talked about this almost ad nauseum at this point. How did you meet Cody? And how did that, I guess, progress to this point that American Rebel is a thing? I didn't even know that he's a cigar smoker, and I guess he and Frankie Kazarian, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him and Frankie, they were the ones that started this with me. And we're all just kind of equal partners in it. But a representative of his reached out to me and wanted so I didn't talk to Cody probably until, after I was kind of putting things together and putting blends together. And then once I sent him some blends, then we started communicating. Mm-hmm. And, but I talked to, this was years ago. Like I said, he was with Ring of Honor at that time. So it's kind of cool to have been with Cody throughout all of this. Now he's, he was the headliner of WrestleMania, won King of the Ring. So it was, it's kind of cool to see his progression through all and being part of it, not just after he's kind of, climbing to the top, but way before that. So, it's been cool. We go to a lot of shows. We get comp tickets pretty much anywhere we want, anywhere we want to go.
Cool. So are we going to WrestleMania 40 together or what?
I definitely want to.
It's in Philly.
Yeah. I mean, it's a drive, so I definitely plan on being to WrestleMania. Hopefully, Cody's headlining and with title. That would be fantastic.
That would be great.
We have to finish the story if anybody follows Cody.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that's awesome.
But I'm an old school wrestling fan. I've been a wrestling since Lucha, and it was the luchador that caused him to reach out. A lot of wrestlers kind of reached out in some regard, not necessarily make a cigar, but they were into the luchador brand, which is cool. But I go to the Civic Arena here in Pittsburgh. It doesn't exist. And I would go to the wrestling shows here. We used to get there early and watch them drive. They didn't have buses and stuff back then. And my most memorable moment was when Big John Studd drives into the Civic Arena. Yeah, he had a custom built Lincoln where the steering wheel was in the center of the car because he was so big.
Yeah, he's
and he was just like Mario Kart in this huge Lincoln. You know what I mean? It was hilarious. Hilarious. I'll never forget that. But I saw, George Animal Steel, and it was Macho in one of his first matches. Was the one I went to. Like, never heard of him then.
Right.
So yeah, I've been a long time fan. Even my grandmother, she was a big Bruno Sammartino fan, who's locally, from who just recently passed.
Yep.
And people used to think my grandfather would hit her, and she would sit on top of the couch and punch herself in the arms when they were wrestling. She'd get so, it was so good. It was so good.
Man. That is awesome, man.
My wrestling love goes way back. I don't follow it as much as I used to. I don't have the time to dedicate to all the storylines and everything like I used to. But I'm definitely still a fan. I always will be.
That's awesome, man. So one thing I want to touch on with Stogiebird, you guys ship to over 30 countries, right?
Currently, yeah. I mean, it's not that we limited at 30. That's just currently. I mean, it moves down a little bit. That's just an easy number to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do. And the people always. I get a lot of questions through the website. Do you ship to the UK? Do you ship here? And the answer is yes. The pricing will show prior to your checkout of what the shipping costs is. And to answer future questions that maybe some international guys might be listening to, times in a rare occurrence, these things do get stuck in customs, and they do require duties. And so I always tell our customers, just refuse package, and we can refund you or find another way to ship it. Sometimes you just ship it again and it gets through.
Sure.
But I don't lie on the customs form. It's all very legit.
Yeah.
But what it is I have it listed first as a subscription because that's what it is.
Yeah.
But it's on a secondary line. It says what it is. So since it gets overlooked, I probably shouldn't say this to everybody, right? but it's we do things by the book.
One thing I definitely want to ask you about before we wrap up is, what do you have in the pipe works right now? Like, what are you working on right now that you're super passionate about? Like, what's something fun and awesome that you've got coming up, whether it be the end of the year this year for the holidays, if you have any promos going on, or what do you have coming up in 2024 that you want everybody to know about?
So I mean, every year we do our Black Fridays and Cyber Monday deals and things like that. So, we're definitely going to have those things. What really goes well around the holidays is our year subscriptions. So people that will buy a full year for somebody as a gift. That's typically what we start selling a lot of around this time of year. But I've been working on this for a little while, and I'm getting closer and closer to launch it. And that is a Stogiebird Elite program where it's 5 very hard to get cigars. These aren't cigars that I'm claiming are hard to get. These are well-known hard to get cigars, or you know what I mean? Very limited, very high-end stuff. And we're only going to do 5 in that pack. There won't be any other options, and they're going to come in a Gramworks humidor, which is an airplane grade aluminum. These are like $120 travel humidors.
That's awesome.
That's how they're gonna ship. So yeah, it's a real, it's for the people that want the best, and there's always a market for that. And these cigars are going to be, the hardest to find, hardest to get cigars, and not because I say they are, but because people that try to get them. These aren't going to be cigars that I make. These aren't going to be, one-off hands in that program.
Sure.
These are going to be true core and expensive cigars that are hard to find.
So when will people be able to sign up for this subscription? And is this going to be a quarterly thing, a yearly thing? How often will they be able to?
I believe I'm going to start it off as a monthly thing.
Okay.
I haven't finalized that. That kind of detail is a little easier once you're really ready to launch it. But I would hope to do this, not by spring, but probably by summer.
Cool. That's awesome.
I'd like to get that going. So I'm working on the channels because I make sure that I can get, these cigars on a regular basis. I mean, I got to make sure that You know, and when you're doing it every month, I mean, there's only so many hard to find expensive cigars out there too. So,
Yep.
you know, a quarterly thing might be an option, but it all depends on how it pans out. So I'm still kind of working out those details. I had mentioned this before, so it's people that have, you know, it's not necessarily breaking news.
Yeah.
I just haven't launched it.
Awesome, man. So if people are looking for you on social media, if they want to go to your website, where do they find you?
So, I mean, I'm pretty easy to find. It's either anything Stogiebird would be, I'm Bird on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Sam Leccia on everything else as well. So I'm pretty easy to find and get a hold of. I'm also pretty bad at promoting myself. I should be doing podcasts. I should be doing my own videos and doing my own. I just, you know, I was the face of this, you know, huge brand, or, you know, this brand that became huge for so long that it's been kind of nice just kind of being behind the scenes and not being that too.
Nothing wrong.
So I don't like to do videos. I don't like most people. I don't like to hear my voice. I don't like to see my smug face. You know, so I'm not a fan of it.
You have a beautiful face. Beautiful face and a great voice. We're glad to have you, man.
These are not, you know what? I could talk in front of a group of 1 million people and I'd be fine. That doesn't bother me. But if you put me alone in front of a camera, it's just stale. Like I need energy, I need something to feed off of.
Yeah, man.
To kind of pull out my energy, and to just kind of create it all myself in front of a camera in a room by myself. It's just, you know, it's just boring. And like, oh, I hate that. The way I say that, or I need to change that. So you're doing 1,000 takes because you hate everything, when really it's best to just go off the cuff and do it, kind of like this. You know?
Absolutely. Well, we're glad we got you to do a video with us, man. Hey, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. We appreciate you. We obviously love partnering with you at Boveda. We appreciate having a Boveda in every Stogiebird pack that goes out the door. Is there any parting words for you about anybody who's either interested in signing up with Stogiebird or people who are already subscribed?
Well, first, I got to say that I've been a huge Boveda fan since day one. I even still have some of the original white pack Bovedas that are just still working because I have them in pipe tobacco. And if you know what I'm talking about, the logo, the old white bags, they still are soft as brand new because they've been in pipe tobacco. I think it's just an incredible product. It works so well. And, you know, I always, you know, tell the customers when it gets hard, you know, you just put in a new one. It's real simple. You can't screw it up. And it's been great for our national shipments because sometimes things do take, like, you know, I could ship something to the UK and it could take 4 days, or sometimes it takes 4 weeks. Like, so inconsistent with that shipping. And, you know, and ideally, I mean, unfortunately, it all falls on me, you know, like, why isn't it here? Why isn't it here? I'm like, I wish I could tell you, you know, but, and then the tracking is horrible once it leaves the country. You know, there's no real good tracking once it leaves the US. So that's always kind of tough too. But what's great about this system, and we, you know, with our packaging, we vacuum seal our bags. We put in your bow pack, and they're going to be fresh for, you know, over a year. And so this is just like if you were going to get a fresh pack at you know, sometimes they have that, like the, you know, packs at gas stations or whatever that have premium cigars, don't have to be in a humidor. So, you know, even we have a Stogy Bird library here, which is all of our packs that are on the wall. We don't need to keep them in the humidor because they're vacuum sealed with a bow pack. There's the air is in there. You know, there's just I mean, air doesn't get in and out of, so they do stay fresh. So I've always been selling. I've probably sold Bovedas than your top salesman to retailers that didn't get back in the day when I was out on the ground. You know, my boots were on the ground. So like, I'm a big fan. It's kind of like set it and forget it. No, you can't screw it up. It's a product to keep your cigars fresh. And so I'm grateful that you guys exist for our industry, to keep our cigars simple for the long haul. So I definitely want to say that. But as far as Stogiebird, I mean, for $20 a month, you get 2 unique cigars every month. I mean, it's what, you know, if you get a card for your birthday and it's got $20 in it, what are you going to spend? What are you going to buy for $20? Like, it doesn't go anywhere anymore. And yet for $20, you know, you could get, you know, 2 cigars delivered to your house. And again, most people don't even buy the $2 one. They buy our 8-pack anyway. But we have so many options. You can buy it once a month. You can buy it every 7 days. You can buy it every 15 days. You can buy it every other month. You can buy it once every 6 months, once a year, whatever you want. It's it's as simple as can be. So and what we've been selling a lot of is what's called the kitchen sink, and it's 30 cigars, and I throw in everything I can find that's laying around. So we do a lot of cool custom stickers every month. So you're going to get tons of stickers and whatever I have, a cutter, a lighter, air fresheners, whatever the brands send me, goes into the kitchen sink. So it's a fun pack, and we've been using a lot of those lately. So I figured I might as well plug that since we've been selling them. We've sold more kitchen sinks these past 2 months than I sold last year.
Holidays
and I haven't promoted it or talked about it. So
yeah, man. Well, first and foremost, if you need a job, we'll hire you. Really plug, man.
I have some commissions due, man.
It sounds like but no, we are incredibly appreciative. We appreciate that plug. That's really nice to hear. Obviously, we're all very proud to have you as a partner with Boveda and packaging with Boveda and being such a huge fan of what we do here. Again,
I'm very loyal. There's some new competitors on the horizon, but nothing beats Boveda.
We appreciate it. So Stogiebird.com, you can find anything and everything you're looking for, including having the entire kitchen sink thrown at you, as we just found out. And the holidays are right around the corner, folks. So make sure that you're checking that out.
You know what? I'll punch this in as soon as I get off because I didn't do it, but we'll do a coupon code Boveda for 15% off your first order.
Yeah.
So I'll punch that in as soon as we get off. It'll be just Boveda. And we'll have it run until probably the end of the month or something, or maybe till the end of December. Just people that'll watch this later instead of just today. So
early Black Friday deal.
Yep, 15% off your first order. Gonna coupon code Boveda.
Awesome, that is so cool. Thank you for doing that. Really appreciate it, Sam Leccia of Stogy Bird. We really appreciate your time, man. Thank you for being with us. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays to you. We're stoked to have you to finish out Cigar Week at Boveda, man. Thank you so much for your time, dude.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being on your platform to talk to your customers about Stogiebird. So I appreciate the opportunity big time.
Totally, man. Thank you. Appreciate it, dude. Have a great weekend. We will talk to you soon.
You too, man. Thank you.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for joining us.